Hello and welcome to another edition of the Tigers Down Under. I'm your host, Alex, and with me this week, I've got Mike. How are you, Mike?
I'm good. How are we going?
Yeah, not too bad. It's our first loss in 7. Some would say alarm bells ringing, red flags waving, but
I said it.
we can we can find some balance. I mean, 3 points from the 2 games, not too bad in the end. Portsmouth this weekend had a good opportunity going into the international break, but all things considered, a pretty good run of form at the moment. I can't remember the last episode you were on, but it's got to be just about the best run of form at this level. Obviously, we did well in League One, but at this level that we've experienced.
Yeah, I think I rode the wave of emotions with everyone. Before that second goal went in for Derby, I was on a high, thinking we were going, what was it, 7 unbeaten or 8? And we're sat at 8th now, which I don't think we've sat at for a very long time. And I think the fact that we're angry, and we said this in our chat, the fact that we're angry at dropping a point to a team that has won 3 in a row and has probably been underperforming so far in the league, and we're sitting at 8th, it might be a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think to be disappointed with that result, like, you think pre-season we were just happy to stay up. Like, it was just stay up, get through this transfer ban period, recalibrate, settle the squad, and then see what happens. But the fact that we're now sitting here going, geez, 1 loss in 7, that's pretty rough. Like, we're frustrated, we're annoyed that we've dropped the points. I was thinking, it was interesting. I was thinking about it the other day, because it's like, you can't help it. Like, every season I almost go in going, let's have a drama-free season. We finish mid-table, not relegation, not promotion. And I'm like, for that to happen, it doesn't. But I guess what I was thinking was, it doesn't happen because no matter what, for that to happen, you have to at some point in the season be hoping for promotion or threatened by relegation to finish in that position. And so that's and if you're going for promotion, you kind of think on the outside, you go, oh, it's less stressful because you're enjoying it because you're winning every week. But I'm like, it's more stressful as well, because you're like, any drop points is like the end of the world.
Which is the opposite if you're trying to climb out of relegation, where any picked up points is a really good thing to celebrate. Yeah. And I think we've been in that position significantly more than we have been in the current position that we're in. And I think we all kind of got a bit sidetracked with the fact that we hadn't lost in 6, and we kind of assumed that we would go in and win. I mean, I definitely thought, after Ndala scores, I'm kind of there sat thinking, great, here we go, another one, another week where we have a poor first half, and then we come out in the second half and we take it to them, and we're going to pick up some points, only for my hopes to be crushed. And I think every Hull fan's hopes to be crushed. But these things happen, and I think it's important for us to almost have had that loss so that we can rebuild and continue the form that we had.
Yeah, that's it. And look, we'll jump into the Norwich game first of all. And talking first halves versus second halves, it was a pretty poor first half. And I think most City fans going into that game were probably bracing for the typical City to come out, for the side that's lost 5 in a row at home to start the season, to come out and get the win over us. And so I think after those first few big chances Norwich had, I remember saying in the chat that we're definitely losing this game. Bit of an interesting protest from the Norwich fans. What was it? All of 5 tennis balls? It's probably just one tennis tube.
Maybe close to 10, but even then, I think they could have been significantly more. But yeah, look, you said it. If we're just talking that first half, I think 20 to 30 minutes in, I kind of almost gave up. I thought we were in for one of those nights, but when we get to halftime and it's still 0-0, I kind of thought, hang on, we've been on the other end of this, where we have had opportunities to score, we've not put them away, and then all of a sudden we've come out and just lost. So it was a repeat of prior games, probably not this season, but other seasons. And when we started the second half, I kind of thought, okay, maybe there is something here. And I think the introduction of Ajayi made a really big difference, and it seemed to tighten things up. Even though we had less possession in the second half, I think the quality of possession that we had was significantly better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting one as well. Like you sort of said that second halves have been a lot better than first halves. I do so, and I think people are sort of using that to praise Jurkovic, which I think is fair enough. Like it's good that he's sort of recognizing patterns of play and what needs to change. I would question why we can't do that from the start of games. And maybe that's just me sort of being a little bit overly critical. I don't know. Like maybe it's just a case of, um, you know, trying different things in games. And I think even Baz sort of said that Ajayi was dropped out of the side for the Norwich game just to give him a bit of a rest, so he wasn't playing too many minutes. Of course, knowing that Ajayi is a bit of an injury risk a lot of the time, so we probably wanted to manage his minutes, and so giving him the 45 against Norwich, really did turn the game in that second half, like you said. He was even getting forward a couple of times, putting some balls into the box as well. So I think he's one of those guys. Like I'm trying to think the last time we had a centre back maybe like a Curtis Davies or like a Chester or someone like that who goes on those sort of Harry Maguire as well. Like they love those sorts of runs.
Like even Gravesy was doing it towards the end of his City career, and it seems like we always get one centre back that decides to kind of get lost up in the field. But yeah, look, I mean that second half was chalk and cheese. We went from 0 shots on target to 4 shots on target out of 6 in the second half, and I don't think I remember a point where I ever thought we were going to concede in that second half, which is so drastic to that first half.
Yeah, and I think that's a real credit, and it's sort of probably gone under the radar a bit just because of how many we were conceding earlier in the season, that we've actually been quite tight. No small coincidence that it's Ajayi's back fit and we're suddenly looking a whole lot better defensively, but we've actually been quite solid in defense. Like we got the clean sheet against Sheffield United, clean sheet against Norwich, only the one against Charlton in the very last minute. Arguably, one sort of given away against Derby as well. We've actually been a lot more solid defensively, so it's a big credit to the side. And Gelhardt, who we should probably call out specifically, 4 in a row in this game. We were talking before the episode, like our clinicalness in front of goal. That finish, he makes it look really easy, but it's like a very, very smart finish.
Yeah, 100%. But you were touching on our defense kind of sharpening up, and I think was it the Bristol game where Hughes probably had his worst game in the City shirt, where we lose 4-2. I think off the back of that, there's been a massive change kind of in him, and I think he's definitely sharpened up as well. But yeah, Gelhardt, Joffy, whatever we want to call him, I would put him and probably McBurney as the two great signings for this season. I think I'm completely I think we all knew what Gelhardt was capable of. I just didn't think he'd be delivering week in, week out as he has been.
Yeah, I think he's one of those ones where getting him back on loan just felt such a pipe dream, like especially when the transfer ban came through and we thought, well, maybe before that we could have got him similar to, we were going for Louis Barry as well, and that didn't come off. You thought Gelhardt's going to go to a bigger club, someone who's offering a fee. I don't understand. Like, there's got to be something in the fact that we got JB and Gelhardt from Leeds that we've probably said to them, we'll give you £5 million in the summer once our ban ends, and it's basically a fee for both of them, because to get both of them essentially for free just doesn't make sense.
No, but look, we'll take it.
Yeah, and speaking of, I mean, obviously, like, didn't even make that connection in my mind, but the two Leeds boys, JB getting the other goal in this game as well. Look, I want to call out Joseph's efforts. I think his efforts up front was.
I've seen a lot of comments on this over the past 2-3 games that his effort can't be faulted, but he is not a striker, and it's a tough one, because when you look at Kane's last season at Spurs, he didn't score a bunch. However, he did pressure, assist, hold the ball up, and I think there is a role for that in a team, and I think Gelhardt is playing that role. And it works when you have other players stepping up and being clinical, like Gelhardt, and then Ndala scoring against Derby and JB scoring as well against Norwich. So I'm a big fan of him. I think he is always one person that will give everything until the minute he has taken off. So I've just seen that his name come up a lot in forums around, why are we playing him up front? What's he doing? Doesn't know how to score.
It's one of those crazy ones though. Like, you look at the chance that JB gets and scores. If that's Joseph there, like I don't know. You can't sort of sub one player for another in that sense, but like you just feel so unlucky for him that he doesn't get those sorts of opportunities. Obviously, he did. To be fair, he did get a very good chance through his
Yes.
pressing, and that is a credit to him because I think the pressure he puts defenses under can be quite underrated at times. But you just want him. Like he's had a couple of goals this season. It does feel like his confidence is growing. Like I think his belief in his role in the side is growing, and I think we're seeing, like even against Derby, we'll talk about that in a second. But I thought there was a massive difference once he went off in terms of our ability to press the ball, keep the ball in that final third.
I think when him and Joffy went off, I got a bit concerned.
But yeah, good goal for JB. First goal of the season for him as well. Yeah. Not much else to say for this game. So, did you have votes to say for this one, and then we'll move on to Derby?
Yeah. Gelhart for 3, Ajayi for Joseph for 2, Ajayi for 1.
Yeah, nice. So I've got my 2 and my 1 the other round. I've got Gelhart for the 3, Ajayi for the 2, Joseph for the 1. I thought, yeah, that chance that Joseph had where you see, is it Duffy, is it? Just like sprawled on his back, and you're just like, oh, it would have been lovely for Joseph to score or square it to JB, to be honest. But yeah, I think like I love a good workhorse forward.
It's coming.
Yeah,
his goals are coming.
Sure. So then Derby. So to be fair, bogey ground against Norwich, hadn't won there since 2010. Get the win. Bogey ground at Derby at Pride Park, haven't got a win there since the playoffs in 2016 or whatever it was. Probably a bit too much to hope for
didn't start well.
Sorry,
didn't start well. So it was
and I think like you said, it's the sort of thing where it feels like with this City team is that our time in matches will always come. Like we'll always have a patch where we're on top. So you almost feel like if we can weather the storm, get through the opposition's, purple patch, so to speak, like then we'll be okay. And it did feel like Derby started really strongly, had a good first 20 minutes, and then we slowly started to get on top. Granted, they then scored, but it felt like one of those games where, like you were saying earlier, once Ndala gets that equaliser, you just felt like we were going to go on and win it.
And Kirish says the same thing. The goal goes in. He's not worried. He's sat there. We're in complete control. Like I looked at the stats, and it was, what was I looking at? It was 49 possession in the first half, but then in the second half we were well over 60%.
Yeah.
And the first half, no shots on target. Second half, we have 6 shots, 2 on target, complete control of the game. And I was looking at passes in the final third. We had 44 in the first half, and then we had 66 in the second half. So it's not like we were just sat back and sitting on a 1-1, but we were moving the ball forward. We were getting into kind of positions. And then the lapse of, I don't know if it's concentration, Ajayi is trying to shield the ball, but then very clearly gets a call from Pandur to, don't worry, I've got it. He doesn't move for a couple seconds. And
so, what's your take here? Because I've seen a few people say at the end of the day, Ajayi is on the ball, Ajayi should be clearing it. But my take
he's got to keep a call. He's got to keep a call to leave it.
Yeah. If your keeper's coming out as a centre back, as someone who's played centre back this season, if your keeper's coming out, you leave it for the keeper, because the last thing you want to do is have any sort of mix up between the centre back and the keeper. And if the keeper's committed, you leave it for the keeper.
Yeah, but it didn't look like he was committed. The reason, it's so hard to blame, right? Like at the end of the day, the team lost, and us as supporters, the easiest thing for us to do is to say, it's Pandur's fault or it's Ajayi's fault. Like, no, I mean, it's everyone's fault. It's a team sport, but you see him make the call and then stutter and not move. Whereas Pandur has a whole view of what's going on behind Ajayi. Ajayi can't really see who's around him once he steps away from the ball. So it's a misjudgment, and it's unfortunately cost us. But I think for the first day or two after the game, all I was thinking about was, was it yesterday? Actually, wasn't it?
Yesterday morning, yeah.
Yeah, so it feels like ages ago. The only thing I thought about yesterday was, we're bad. Like, of course, that's going to happen to us. But in reality, when you look at that second half, we actually played really good football,
Yeah.
and we moved the ball well. And these things happen, and I'm all right with them to happen now. And to a team that has now just won 4 in a row, fine. Like, credit to them, they're playing well. It's not like it's happened to us, Sheffield. So.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being Derby. I mean, no one's okay with it being Derby, but the fact that it's happened now and we can kind of move on from it and we can think about the fact that we've lost 1 in 7, I think. And I'm normally
Yeah.
very pessimistic, as we all know. So trying to be optimistic here and say there are actually really important things to take out of that game that I think we need to.
Yeah. And I think, like you said before, it's almost, it's not the loss that you need to have, but it's a bit of it puts things in perspective where the side doesn't get too far ahead of itself. If we'd won that game again, you sort of start to think, are they going to start getting complacent and just think, no matter, we can let a goal in because we'll come back and win. It's like, it's good to actually say, no, you have to stay switched on. You have to stay focused to get the results. And also what I like about it is it's the game before the last game, before the international break. So we actually have a chance to rebound and regroup before the international break. It'd suck if if this had happened against Portsmouth and you go, we get 2 weeks to sit on this result. Like, that would suck so much more.
And I think it's good that it's Pompey, given that they haven't won in 4 now. I think 3 losses in a row and then the draw against Wrexham.
Yeah.
But then before that, they've won 1 in 10. Like, if there is a game for us to kind of show that, all right, we're not going to get phased by a mistake at the back, it's going to be this one.
Yeah, no, definitely. My other call out for the Derby game. So yeah, we're talking Hughes earlier. I thought Hughes and Ajayi at the back was so composed. There were so many times where a Derby attacker would be getting through on goal or running down the wing, and it would almost be like they'd just wrap their foot around the ball or something. Like, they'd just win the ball back and had such composure to not just clear it into touch, but actually to take a turn, take a touch, and like play the ball out, where it just felt like the defense was so composed and play like in pretty poor conditions as well. And Joseph as well, like talking Joseph earlier, I think there was a few times he'd win the ball. He'd actually like go for a back heel or something like that to open the play up and pass the ball through to Joffy in the center of the park, where you just think this side is so in tune with each other and so confident that they know, if I play the ball into this space, a teammate will be here to take the ball. And it just opens the game up so much when we do that.
100%. And I think it's also important to think about, and I think Jurkovic said it, he had, was it 14 of the senior squad available?
Yeah.
And I said this morning or like previously in the chat, and I got shat on for it. The day that you can get McBurney, Miller, Bellumi on like in the side as well starting, like it's the team we have now, and the way we've been playing over the last couple of games without some of those really key players is so impressive, because it feels like for the first time in a couple seasons, we're not heavily reliant on 1 or 2 players. We are comfortable in almost every part or every position on the field. And it's really nice to have that confidence.
Yeah. I will clarify. I don't think you were shattered. I think it's like, it's really, I don't know. I think it's me and Dan, I think both were the ones that made the comments.
I know it's not going to happen.
Pessimistic. It's the pessimism, right? You're just I know. We never get the luck. We never get the injury run where you're going to have all 4 of McBurney, Gelhardt, Bellumi, and Miller all starting at the same time. So I'm like, I'd rather, set my expectations low. If we see it happen, I'll be so excited. But
no, I get that.
Yeah. But look, it's and I think, look, it's going to be interesting against Portsmouth. It sounds like McBurney's not back till after the international break. I don't know how far. I think Bellumi might have had a setback. I'm not sure. But you think like Lundstrom and stuff should be coming back soon as well. So you'd hope that you get like a couple of players back after the international break potentially. But it says a lot that we're able to play as well as we are with the squad that we have available. And like, I know the podcast episode is Calamity Pandur. It's more just a play on words than anything. Like, it's not, I think Jurkovic is such a good manager in the way that he speaks after the game, where, to your point, it's a team sport. We concede as a team. It's no one's fault individually. you're not hanging anyone out to dry. It's a mistake. It happens. You move on and you focus on the next game. I think it's a really great mentality to have.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about the goal in too much detail, but Ndala getting his first league goal was really good. You know, great ball through from Crooks to Slater, I think it was, and then Slater finding Ndala for one of the more unique finishes for a goal. But you know, they all count.
Yeah. Look, I think at that point it was, you know, we'll take anything here, and I think it really got us going. But also happy for him to get the goal. I want him to take that and go forward. Like I wanted Joseph to take his goal and go forward and get confidence from it. So I'm hoping that in the next couple of games, there's a bit of belief in there, and maybe he becomes the new Delap.
Yeah. No, we'll say. Yeah, so I guess as I was alluding to before, so my votes for this game, I sort of focus more on the defenders. I had Ajayi for the 3 and Hughes for the 2. I thought they were really, really awesome in defense for us. And then I gave Joseph a vote again. I just thought, I don't want to be too critical of Destan because I think it's really hard to make too much of an impact off the bench. But I just felt like every time Joseph comes off the pitch, it really highlights what he offers in his absence, because you sort of notice when he's not there. And I just feel like Destan doesn't have the same physical presence up forward that Joseph has. So I thought Joseph was terrific again.
That's a fair call. I had the same justification for my 1, but for Joffy for when he came off, because I think you can really notice a lack of someone wanting to go forward and attack when he's not there, and he's just been so nifty on the ball the last couple of games that when he gets it, I'm comfortable that he's going to do something with it and not lose it. My 3 was for Hughes, my 2 was for Ajayi.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll wrap things up talking about the Portsmouth game. We've already sort of touched on it anyway. But yeah, like you said, you know, 3 losses and then a draw this morning, 0-0 against Wrexham. Supposedly they looked a lot better against Wrexham. I think they did suffer an injury. I can't remember the name of the player off the top of my head. I think why is his name gone out of my head? Murphy, I think, was sort of struggling with a calf injury towards the game as well. Jacob Murphy, I think it is, because it's Josh. No, it's Josh Murphy, because Jacob's at Newcastle. Let's get those around the wrong way. Probably their most dangerous player to watch out for. So if he's an injury doubt, with the early game Saturday, which is always good for us down here in Australia, so it's not at the ungodly 2 a.m. And we get an extra day of rest and preparation than Portsmouth get. So there's a lot of factors in our favour in that sense. I guess from our perspective, of course, Segacic, I don't know if he's actually been starting for them lately.
I don't know lately, but I know that when he first joined, he was on fire.
Yeah, goal and assist in his first 2 games or something.
Also, some of the goals that he scored, unreal. And as a Sydney FC supporter as well, it's a bit crazy to see.
It's similar when we played Watford earlier in the season and Aaron Kunda played, and I was like, just don't let him score against us, because that would be the weirdest thing.
Yeah, so that's my concern. But I don't think he's been that great in the last couple of games. I mean, look, Pompey haven't been that great in the last couple of games, regardless. So I think this is a great opportunity for us, like I said earlier, to put Derby behind us.
Yeah, it's at home. We're playing really well at home. Good opportunity to sort of go into the international break on a high. I think as well, the positive is that despite the loss to Derby, I mean, it's way too early in the season to care too much about the table, but, you know, it always is nice to be sort of in and around that top 6. And we haven't lost too much ground with, you know, Middlesbrough losing and a few other sides dropping points as well. So going into the break with a win wouldn't hurt.
Would be great. Yeah, I think it's a tough one, right? So I never like to look at top 6. However, when you're 8th, I think looking at 6th is fine. I think, like, I saw some comments saying how many points we are off 2nd and automatic. So I think that's too far out of reach, at least for the current state that we're in. But at the moment, the way we're playing and with the team we have when they're back from injury, I genuinely think if we can keep our heads on the ground, 6th isn't far-fetched, or at least the top half. Like, if we don't get 6th, but we're top 10, like, or top 12, whatever it might be, I would consider that a successful season.
Yeah. And so for me, even, it's not even necessarily of looking at the top 6 at this stage. It's more, what is our buffer to the teams below us? And it's, so for example, I look at the fact, so we're 22 points, Norwich in 22nd are on 9 points. So already we've got a 13-point buffer to the relegation zone, first of all. Then you go, okay, what's our buffer to the top half? And you go, well, Leicester's sitting there in 13th on 18 points. We're on 22. So we could feasibly lose a game, Leicester could win, and we're still above them in the table, for example. So that's when I start to look at those, and it's almost like building those buffers to the teams below us so that you've got that room to have a derby loss, for example. And then it's later in the season, you go, okay, well, we've got that buffer, and now we can go, we're only 2 points off fifth or something like that. So
but then the worry with that is then we get to the point where we're like, oh, imagine if we had picked up points against Derby, or imagine we picked up points against Blackburn, and it becomes like last season. Imagine if, the season we finished 7th. Imagine if that ball that crossed the sideline against Norwich in the first game of the season picked up, and then it wasn't a goal. We could have made top 6. It's so easy to look back at all of those moments when you start thinking about how close we are to 6th, or how close we are to relegation. So I think it's natural because we're excited, but I think we just kind of have to enjoy each game as it comes and learn to kind of maybe start watching in the second half rather than the first half.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, what are your thoughts? So I was just looking, actually, Segacic wasn't even on the bench this morning, so that's an interesting one. I don't know if he's injured or just out of form. But what are your thoughts for this one? So what sort of score are you feeling for this one?
Well, I think I'd want to make a couple changes. I'd probably put Amir back in, or Hadzimovic. I kind of want to see Coyle back in. So the thing that I don't know if Coyle's injured. I don't think
it feels like they're just rotating, like they're sort of just managing things. Yeah.
What I think Coyle has done really well, and I don't think anyone has praised him enough for it, is those balls that he puts in to the to the 6-yard box. At least for when McBurney wasn't injured, there was always someone on the end of it, and they were quality balls. I don't think as much gets in through Drame. I also think Coyle is a bit stronger on the ball and more physical than Drame is. So those are the two changes I'd make. From a score prediction, I'm trying to stick with my pessimistic self, but it's becoming really hard. I want a 4-0 win.
Well, we had 2 1-1 draws with them last season, and my go-to score this season has been to predict a 1-1. It feels like we score every game, and also concede most games. So granted, we're not doing that as much lately, but I maybe a 2-1, maybe I don't know. To be honest, actually, it's interesting because I don't feel like they're scoring too many goals.
Well, they haven't scored in their last. They haven't scored in their last 3. So I'm not over worried. And like they had, I think it was like 4 or 6 shots in total in the second half against Wrexham and couldn't do anything with it.
Well, there you go. So we always score. So it'll be a 1-0 at least. So I'll just go 1-0.
I think Pandur needs a clean sheet off the back of Derby. I think it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. So look, it'll be an interesting game. I think it's gonna say so much about the mood heading into that international break. If it's off the back of 2 losses, or even just off 1 point in 2 games, it probably gives a bit of a dampener to the mood. But if we go in with a win, it means that it's 6 points from 3 games. You're still kind of getting that 2 points a game average, is what I was going to say, which is a great way to go into the international break. Then hopefully you get guys like McBurney back on the other side as well. So you start to think it's uphill, downhill.
When's Matazzo back?
That's a good question. I think he's meant to be back. Well, it was February he did it. Call it 9 or 10 months for the injury. So maybe December.
Yeah, the mystery man, the one that everyone's claiming is going to be amazing when he gets back.
Yeah, he's one of the key reasons that we've been not doing so well. It's because this huge injury list, including Matazzo, who hasn't played a minute this season. But no, look, it would be nice to one day have a fully fit squad. I don't think it'll ever happen, but
I don't think any team has that.
No, well, that's right, and that's why I'm like, the idea of a best 11 is always like a theoretical, not a reality. So if we could go on a huge tangent here. We'll wrap things up, but you could look at January and go, well, we don't need players because our best 11 is so good. And you go, yeah, but how often is our best 11 going to be on the park together? Not often.
I'm genuinely, and when we get to the episode talking about January, I'm genuinely curious as to see who we can bring in. And
well, that's right. Like, it shouldn't get so carried away.
it will set the scene for what he believes the second half of the season will bring. Like if we go aggressive on certain positions and certain players, then it's almost a sentiment to Jurkovic and to the team that says, I believe in you, and this is the season that we could actually do it. So
but I also think, unlike Rosina, I don't think Jurkovic would be in danger if we didn't make the playoffs, because even if we go hard in the window, I think we're showing a style of play that Arjun really likes. Like, this is literally what he wanted when he came in the door. He wanted to have those sorts of 4-3 wins and that sort of thing, which is kind of what we're producing. So I think even if Arjun was to go a bit crazy, and obviously he can't even go too crazy, it's still going to be free transfers or loans. He's not going to overreact to missing the playoffs, I wouldn't think. I mean, who knows? Arjun does some crazy things sometimes, but it'll be really interesting. I think it's interesting. Like, if we were sitting in, I don't know, 15th with a kind of average squad doing, not very well, I don't think we'd do anything in January. But being in the position we're in, I'm like, oh, what sort of tricks does Arjun have in store? It's going to be very fascinating. But look, that's still what, 5-6 weeks away. So we'll have to see.
Man, we got time.
We got time. But look, thank you for joining me for this one, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Until next time, come on, City.